Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So feedback is immensely important. Feel free to reach out to me, and the sources to do so will be provided for you. All right, so some of the audio platforms that I'm on are Spreaker, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, just to name a few. Okay, so it's Friday, so I'm focusing in on fashion, the aspects of fashion. And I'm getting into the final stretch, and then I'm going to be moving on to a different category and giving special shout outs to the countries of the people who listen to me. And I can't stress enough how valuable it is for all of your listeners, and also the feedback is greatly important. I like to know what you all think, and because that's the least I can do. You listen to my program, you appreciate it, you feel free to give me thoughts about it. And then also, I really appreciate the feedback that I have been getting and comment in the comment section on YouTube. So you all listen to me on YouTube, continue that momentum. Feel free, just comment away. All right, so the country of choice that I'm focusing in on the aspects of fashion is Puerto Rico. Here we go. All right, so here are my thoughts before I get into the facts about Puerto Rico, the fashion of Puerto Rico. So I find it quite interesting that the aspects of countries, if I'm not mistaken, with they have American ties, American influences, and how that aspects is fluctuated into the culture that is influenced by American values and everything of this nature. Puerto Rico is a case of that. And so, even though this is a specific culture, this is a quite different culture to the aspects of what Puerto Rico is about. It still has American influences, and then that's depicted a lot in the way that people commingle with one another, even the way the flag looks. You can see that there's some resemblance to the aspects of American roots, American influences. And also, this is immensely the example to think about and reflect on when it is brought upon and to remember and to continue to remember when it is brought upon with the aspects of American culture throughout other countries and so forth. My point is, by saying this, is that even though the narrative has been for a while, for some time here, that it's some sort of defect to be an American, that can't really be the case when there is countries, for instance, Puerto Rico and so many others, the Virgin Islands, that's a different territory. But for instance, what I'm saying that the aspects of what American ties is valued. So that also means that, which would the founding fathers, whether you want to, the narrative too is to turn your head away against that. Look at it for what it is here. And I'll close on this. So they were escaping from the aspects of the iron fist of Great Britain, and they didn't want to be restrained or restricted by people not understanding that it's more important to value and people have the floor to speak their minds and live in a society where that's valued, to have different perspectives than living in one where there's only one monarchy, so to speak, or oligarchy, and you just have to fall in line. And so, going on to the Puerto Rico and the fashion, it's just a rich blend in the aspects of how what is thought of to be Latin culture is not all the same. And then this is also broadens the perspective about the aspects of not pigeonholing people into one category, about the aspects of what it means to be, I don't know, what it means to be this, what it means to be that. In this case, what it means to be, what's the Latin experience is very different depending on who you are, the regions you come from, and so forth. And that influences also your perspective about everything else around you. And so, I'm going to revert back to the aspects. I said I was going to close, but I think this is a really good topic, because it's so odd how now, whereas people are completely complacent, where this was not even heard of, I don't know, even maybe 10 to 15 years, it was still, it was in the atmosphere here, where people could just overtly speak for someone else's experience, someone else's culture, and they have no idea what it means to be that. Just like what I'm referring to, the aspects of Latin X. Why would you want to say that is suitable or respectable to be saying that someone's heritage is offensive, when that's what they know, that's what they grew up with, that's what they value? And a really good example of that is, even though this is fictional, but this is pretty much what we're looking at. So there's one episode in The Office. Now, this is the American version, where Michael Scott is talking to Oscar, and then he's saying that they want to throw a party for him, and then this whole thing where, no offense with Mexican culture. And then Oscar's like, why would I take offense? I am Mexican. What's the issue? And he's like, it's just, don't be a doofus when it comes to stuff like that. That's just being a doofus to me. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, on to the aspects of fashion from Puerto Rico. Here we go. All right, and of course, sources will be provided in this episode. Okay. All right, so here we go. All right. Here we go. So, the fashion history of Puerto Rico is a rich tapestry woven from indigenous Spanish, African, and Caribbean influences. involving the minimal Taino attire of the complex styles of the colonial and modern eras. Its history reflects in distinct traditions like the farmer's outfit and the bomba dance costume, both of which continue to symbolize cultural identity as of today. So the indigenous and Taino people, prior to European arrival, wore minimal clothing suited to the hot, humid climate. Men typically went naked, while women wore simple skirts called the nagas, adorned with body paint and jewelry made from natural materials, which was common and significant as a social and religious status. So, again, you are what you wear. That never changes with the aspects of your attire. It's whether people want that attached to them or not. The way what you dress, what you choose to dress, and that reflects on how people view you when you go out into society, whether that be our cultural status or whether it be, in this case, merging the aspects of cultures that are highly and centered around religious purposes or the aspects of how religion is a huge staple to their culture. That also says a lot about the person too, whether you are devout or if you are not, or you're in the middle ground. That says stuff too. Where that would translate out to the modern aspects of religion and culture, and how that translates to if you want to stay in the society that is, devotedly in the aspects of religion versus moving on to a city or a country that's more nuanced. That's another case in point too about the aspects of your stating who you are too with those actions. All right, so here we go. Spanish colonial introduced the colonialization that is introduced European styles, leading to the adoption of layered, modest clothing through materials like cotton, favored for comfort in the Caribbean climate. So the Jabaro, I don't think I'm pronouncing this right. Farmers' traditional attire, a hallmark of Puerto Rican heritage, features a wide-brimmed straw hat, a cotton shirt and pants, and often a colorful sash reflecting Spanish influence blended with local attire. So, African influences brought by enslaved people significantly shaped Puerto Rican culture, and also with this, the fashion. So the bomba dance, which is the traditional fusion of African and Puerto Rican elements, developed a distinct attire, with women traditionally wearing white cotton dresses with puff sleeves and high collars, often with colorful accents like blue, reds, and petticoats. So these styles were influenced by French fashion, as seen in the 19th century, used of leg of mutton sleeves and madras headscarves, reflecting global trade networks. So on to the 19th century, it saw the emerging aspects of fierce fashion. So this was exemplified by young women in a photograph from the 1890s who combined current European trends with Caribbean elements like an Indian-inspired madras headscarf, demonstrating the island's multicultural identity. So this is quite interesting about the aspects of what slang or jargon means at a certain time. So fierce means something completely different now than it did then, and the evolvement of how that is perceived with connotations, whether good or bad, is quite another reflection of how powerful and how much of an impact language has on a culture as well. All right, so language and words, words come with the territory. So, in the 20th century, American influences grew, especially after the Spanish-American War of 1898, leading to an adoption of American styles throughout traditional clothing, which persists in rural areas. So the gayabara, a lightweight pleated skirt with pockets, became a distinctive traditional garment for men. Modern Puerto Rican fashion continues to blend traditional and modernity. So with elements like the jamararo outfit and the bamba attire often worn during festivals and celebrations, while contemporary designers explore national identity through fashion. All right, so I'm at the end, and I would like to close on this. I think, again, in the aspects of how uniquely the best way I can describe it or say this is that it's far better to have the disposition that, blending roots together helps to flourish the culture. So when you have this attitude or, this perspective that, we need safe spaces, we need our own deal, we're near our own deal here, there, and everywhere, you're reverting back. Whether, when this was more and more popular during the 2020s, and so it's been reverting back to the aspects of, so you're essentially saying you want segregation again. Like what happened to the aspects of the progress of change and the progress of the influences that the cultural backgrounds of different people is embraced, and that is you have a say whether it's not, somebody has a different opinion or not, you still have a say, and that it was moving towards that sector. But I don't know, it's one of those things, because I was talking to my husband about this, so it's quite interesting. So we grew up in the era of 9/11, and so at that time when 9/11 was going on, it was very understood. There was a precedent that it's time for us to unite as a country. And so the values of being patriotic, the values of being more traditional was at an all-time high. And so once that sort of came, I wouldn't say necessarily came to an end, people started to move on to other things. Then you get the aspects of subculture. And then it just got out of control to where, subculture is the new main culture. And then, like, I can't stress that enough, with this old adage, how you have, when you say the adage goes, the loudest wagon is the one with nothing in it. So, paying attention to all these radical ideas or weird ideas or strange ideas, or I would say stupid ideas, silly, and that's supposed to be forced upon the main culture. We're supposed to just comply to it. That goes against the aspects of all what was already flourished before. And so, with all of this said, I just think I really appreciate, I have a lot of value for cultures that understands that, through progression, there's a lot of hardship with that, and there's a lot of growing pains, really. But it's worth it because you have these different value structures and the culture to where people can flourish a whole lot more, and they don't have to necessarily feel like they're out or the other because they think like this, they look like this, and should not be something that is more inspired to do. But I'm just glad that, it's the progression of what America was founded on is getting back to its roots. But it's getting there, but it's gonna take time to get fully back. But I'm hoping by the time our children are adults, it's somewhat balanced and there's not all this, but wishful thinking. So this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. And of course, give me comments. And also on YouTube, the people who listen to me on YouTube, fill up those comments. And I greatly appreciate the ones that do. All right, tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. Bye-bye for now.